nice to hear your dulcet tones again at last. And the team news, as you've heard then from Northern Ireland, that Billy Bingham, as ever, has given careful thought to his starting lineup today. His tactical selections have so often proved successful in the past. Just the one change, Colin Clark then coming in for Billy Hamilton, who takes Clark's place on the substitutes bench. Otherwise, it's the same side then, which means that 7 of the team that played against Spain in Valencia 4 years ago face them again today. But rather sadly, perhaps, no place in the 16 for the hero of that night, the man who scored the winning goal, Jerry Armstrong. Well, now look at the Spanish side, and they've made a couple of changes from the team that lost to Brazil. Anthony Masteda, their experienced and very talented defender, has had to go home with a knee injury. That's a real setback for the Spanish. Ricardo Gallego takes his place, almost certainly in a sweeper role, and the influential Rafael Gordillo has now fully recovered from Montezuma's revenge, so he comes in for Julio Alberto on the left side of midfield. Just 2 players up front, Salinas and the young star of Spanish football, Butragueño. And there's Zubizarreta, the Spanish goalkeeper. I wonder how he'll fare against this Northern Ireland side today. The temperature here in the stadium in the mid-80s. The humidity is high. It is a bit cooler than, as we were saying, from earlier matches in Guadalajara, but the humidity is around 60%. So once again, they're going to be the conditions that the players have to compete with, as well as the opposition. Well, Ron Atkinson, having failed to make contact a few minutes ago, but he's back in his seat here alongside me. Ron, how do you think the Irish are going to approach this one here today?
I think they'll approach it the way they've done it in the past. They'll play tight at the back. They'll work very, very hard to pressurise the Spanish people, and they'll just sit and wait. I don't think it'll be an all-out attacking game from the Irish. They'll just rely on Colin Clark and Big Norman up front, play on the break, try and frustrate the Irish as they've done, try and frustrate the Spanish as they've done in the past and as they did in Valencia 4 years ago.
Spain more used to the heat than the Irish players, but the Northern Ireland lads, although very tired, all came through Tuesday's match without too many problems. A few more water bags, they felt, might have come in useful later on. I'm sure they'll put that one right today. And Alan McDonald did complain of cracked lips as well as a rather painful grass burn that you may have seen featured on the St. Greavesy show. What are your feelings, Ron, about Spain, who are about to kick off in this game here, and they're showing in the opening match against Brazil?
Yes, they're a little bit unfortunate with the shot that hit the bar and should have been a goal. They look very nervous, very tentative early on. It seems that's a bit of a Spanish thing when they go away from home. Psychologically, they'll be worried about this one. They really have a lot better players on the field than Ireland do, but they just worry a little bit about that Irish grit, don't they?
So Spain in their red shirts and blue shorts kicking off, attacking the goal to our right. This crucial Group D match here in Guadalajara. 9 matches now, Northern Ireland then without defeat. But that record, I'm sure, fully tested today by the European Championship finalists of just 2 years ago. Northern Ireland certainly no longer the surprise team that they were in '82. Francisco. Gordillo is the player who'll take the throw, and how important he is to the Spanish side. One of several players who went down with the infamous Montezuma's revenge before the game against Brazil. But fully recovered now and playing on the flanks, down that left flank where he's been so dangerous for Spain in recent years. Michel, very influential too in midfield, on a lovely ball through to Butragueño! What a start for Spain. The man they call the Vulture has given them the lead with just 1 minute gone. A glorious ball played through then by Michel, and Butragueño showing class finishing.
Beautiful through ball, a lovely finish from Butragueño. Maybe just a hint of offside. I know Butragueño lives on the last man, as we saw against Brazil. Certainly that was marginal.
So, Northern Ireland, a goal down here. And what an uphill task they face now against this very efficient Spain side, who've begun here in explosive fashion. Donaghy will take the throw for Northern Ireland. Players in confident move beforehand, but that really will have stunned them. Whiteside foul by Thomas, the Spain right back. Norman Whiteside, who himself began in spectacular fashion with a goal after only, 5 minutes in the opening match against Algeria. Worthington with the free kick. Donald was in there, but safely in the arms of Zubi Zadeta. And that's the fastest goal of the tournament so far. As Gordillo races down. And Northern Ireland have got to steady themselves down here now.
Yes, I think they haven't got to chase the game straight away. They've got plenty of time to pull that back. Obviously, it will give the Spanish a lift there.
Gordillo then with the corner. Goycochea, the central defender, has come up. Victor couldn't reach it. Right side away. Here's Thomas. Michel, the man who set up the goal. And the header is from Victor. One of the 4 players in the Spain midfield. And the goal has really brought the stadium here to life. A vast following for Spain here in Guadalajara. As indeed, of course, there is for Brazil. The Algerians can only muster 40 supporters, we're told, here in Guadalajara. And the Northern Ireland have got a few, though, who've come over. Victor with the header. This is McCreary. Will provide the running and the hard work in midfield for Northern Ireland. Kick there for Clark. But Camacho was in very quickly. And we were expecting Ron Camacho to be one of the markers, with Gallego as the libero, the sweeper as we call it.
Yes, well, at the moment, that's very much, at the moment he's occupying Colin Clark. We would expect Goycochea to pick up Big Norman. And as you say, Gallego to sit out at the back. Going back to the Spanish, that's the worst thing that could have happened really for the Irish team, because the Spanish are the sort of side that live on inspiration. They're not the best of travellers, and that will have given them a lift that Northern Ireland badly wanted them not to have.
Gallego. Now McElroy. Finding Donaghy. It's Colin Clark. Referred up front then to Billy Hamilton. And so anxious to do well with a possible move to Torino pending for Colin Clark. And this is just the platform that he hopes to show his potential. A free kick there for Spain, which Gallego will take. Cisco. Now then for Thomas. Goycochea. O'Neill with the challenge. Hard into on Francisco. But Thomas was always the favourite there against Colin Clark. Can Northern Ireland settle themselves down and bring themselves back into this game? A goal down after only 1 minute. And it's really a match that both teams will be very anxious to pick both points up from. Brazil already through. Camacho, the Spain captain. Here's Gordillo. Already those socks characteristically around his ankles, which won't please FIFA. Gordillo couldn't get his first cross in. Tackle was from McCreary. Shot from Francisco and a corner. And it's all Spain at the moment in these early stages. And the fillip of a goal already. Gordillo with the corner. Goycochea has come up, couldn't reach it. Away by Whiteside, but only as far here as Camacho. One of only 2 survivors in this side today from the team that played against Northern Ireland in Valencia 4 years ago. Gordillo is the other. This is Thomas. Gallego. Normally plays in midfield, but having to slot in at the back with the injury to Maceda. Camacho, Salinas had got free. But a good interception by John O'Neill, who just lost concentration for a second. Butragueño, the scorer of the Spain goal. Francisco sees Michel. Looks a very talented midfield player. McDonald, a rather clumsy clearance, and he's conceded the corner. And Spain leading here then by a 1-0, the goal from Butragueño. McDonald away. Northern Ireland with everybody back defending at the moment. Tackle again by Camacho. There had been some speculation that Steve Penny might have been left out today and Billy Bingham included instead. Jerry Armstrong perhaps down on that flank, or Ian Stewart, but he's stuck with Steve Penny, who's been something of a good omen really for Northern Ireland. They haven't been on the losing side since he's come into the team. Maldonaghy. Clark had made the run, but cut out easily by Gallego. Goycochea, now then for Gordillo, who poses a real threat down that left flank. The challenge though by Jimmy Nicholl. And Gordillo writhing on the ground. I think though the referee has given the throw.
Yes, Peter, it didn't look serious. Looks an honest competition between Jimmy Nicholl and Gordillo. Talking there about Gordillo, I think he's the best player in the Spanish side for me. When I say I'm surprised, they missed him greatly against Brazil. Obviously got Montezuma's revenge or something, but he could have been a vital factor in that game on Sunday. Strong, powerful, plows forward. Can play left full back as well, but this is when he's at his best on the left-hand side of midfield. Bombing forward. A little bit similar to Briegel of Germany, actually, in that respect.
This is the challenge by Jimmy Nicholl, which certainly looked a fair one from here. And Gordillo is back on his feet. Had to miss the first game, although he was on the substitutes bench. The Spanish had 3 or 4 players down with Montezuma's. Must have been that meringue pie we were talking about the other day. Should cause the Northern Ireland party some problems. I've kept well of it. Gordillo with the throw. And a goal kick to Northern Ireland, which will at least relieve the pressure for a moment. But it's been all Spain so far. Here's Donaghy. A man, of course, who has mixed memories of that night in Valencia. Donaghy was sent off in that game, but was as elated as everyone else at the end when Northern Ireland won by the only goal. Here's Steve Penny. Whiteside held it up well. Good turn too. Shot was from Penny, deflected, and a corner. So this is more promising then for Northern Ireland. The shot deflected from Steve Penny after good work by Norman Whiteside. And Penny himself will take the corner. Alan McDonald has come up for the kick, so too has John O'Neill. McDonald in particular a threat on these set pieces. One of the reasons why he's been included ahead of John McClellan. It's Clark who climbed up there. There's McDonald now, chipping it back across, but away by Thomas. And in fact, the flag was up for a free kick to Spain. And Butragueño, Ron, was a player who impressed you a lot against Spain and other occasions that you've seen him too.
Yes, we were saying on Sunday, he looks a natural goal scorer. Took up a great position there. As I say, for me, there was a hint of offside. Not sure whether he'd gone before the ball was played or what. But that is a natural goal scorer's biggest asset, the ability to sneak into spaces. Ireland had the 4 defenders back, and yet he was able to find open space. Talking from the Irish point of view, Peter, one thing they've got to do, they've got no real pace up front with Norman and Big Clarkey. So what the defenders and midfield players have got to do, they've got to make sure that any balls played into them are accurate and are played to feet.
Well, that pass was accurate enough then from Maldonaghy. Here's Jimmy Nicholl. Couldn't keep the ball in play, though. Gallego. Francisco. Finding now Butragueño. Fouled in shortly by Donaghy. free kick then to Spain. Beaten in their opening game by Brazil, and they felt they were a little unlucky on that. They're leading here by a goal to nil. As once again around us, the human wave breaks out around the stadium. This is Salinas. Michel. Now Gordillo. Butragueño was in the middle, and Worthington able to steer it back to Pat Jennings. Worthington for Northern Ireland. There's O'Neill, Nicol, and space down the Northern Ireland right. A patient build up here by Northern Ireland with Alan McDonald now. Trying to fight Clark. Camacho was in so quickly, a specialist man-to-man marker, Camacho. Pat Jennings winning today his 118th cap at goal for Northern Ireland. Another prodigious kick upfield by Jennings, flicked on by Clark, right side. Well, that was more promising with Clark winning the flick on. Whiteside just unable to get in before Zubizarreta. Thomas. Whiteside. Now then for McElroy. Clark had pulled away to the right. Gordillo covered some ground to get back in a defensive capacity. Francisco. Cut out though by Worthington. Spain, like France, have had their problems getting the right combination up front, but it's paid off for them at the moment with a goal from Butragueño. Spain very strong in midfield, very determined at the back too.
The Irish team are starting to settle a little better now, Peter. They've got over the shock of the early goal, and now they're getting down, knuckling down to the task of trying to pull it back. A little bit of bad luck there when Norman nearly latched onto Clarkie's flick header.
It's Clark challenging again. Worthington. It's Donaghy. Played in towards Clark, who got away from his marker. And Colin Clark beginning to settle now. Quite an ordeal for him. And thrown into this World Cup tie here. But he turned extremely well and managed to get his shot in too.
Yes, that won't have done his confidence any harm, because this is obviously the biggest game he's ever played in his life. He's strong, as I said, not the quickest, but he's strong, and if he can hold the ball up and turn on people like that and fire shots in, he's going to be a threat.
Gallego. Good running here down the flank by Thomas. But Gallego couldn't find him then. Jimmy Nicol. This is Steve Penny. Searching for Whiteside. Controlled it well. No foul given. But there will be now. The foul committed by Al Donaghy. And the referee just having a word there with Norman Whiteside. Presumably for some reaction of Norman's. Gordillo. It's Clark. McElroy to Worthington. Now then for Donaghy. Whiteside with a header down, but only as far as Michel, and he's given it away too. Donaghy made 1 or 2 forceful runs from the back. This is Penny. Now then for Jimmy Nicholl. This is Penny. And Nicholl overlapping well down the flank. Whiteside's in the middle and Clark too. Good jump by Clark. But he couldn't find Whiteside, and away comes Thomas. Good tackle by Donaghy. Victor. McCreary snapping at his heels. And again, the decisive tackle. But here now is Butragueño. Played in for Salinas. Still Salinas, Canita. Francisco. Falls kindly for Northern Ireland. Given away needlessly, really, by McCreary. Salinas. It's 2. And Northern Ireland really have only themselves to play. They were casual at the back. And it's 2-0 to Spain.
Yes, that's a tragedy for them, Peter. I think Sammy McIlroy just tried to overplay a little bit there in the corner of the field. Good finish from Salinas. He didn't look an impressive player against Brazil, and that's the first real effort he's put in the 2 games, but it was a tremendous goal.
So Northern Ireland are really in trouble now. 2 goals down here against a very defensively strong side, and you wonder really if Northern Ireland can come back from this. And Spain have shown their attacking flair too so far. The goals from Butragueño and now from Salinas. He's playing only his 5th international for Spain, Salinas. McIlroy to Worthington. Salinas has now scored 4 goals in those 5 games. So perhaps Spain have at last hit on the right combination up front. Gaikachea. Now then for Thomas. Michel. O'Neill just managing to get in first. A bit of football there from Pat Jennings. And Worthington failing to keep the ball in play. Spain have come here as with a reputation as a side that's very hard to beat, as they showed in the European Championship finals. But the question really was, should they score enough goals? Well, they won't be complaining so far. They've got 2 here. And they have a throw now, which Thomas will take. Northern Ireland have pulled just about everybody back. A mighty throw. Whiteside back there defending. And the decision goes Northern Ireland's way. They've had such a good record defensively, Northern Ireland, in recent matches. Went 6 without conceding 1 before Denmark scored 1 recently in Belfast. And that's down to good organisation and teamwork. But my word, they've got a struggle on here now. O'Neill to Clark. Nicholl trying to find Whiteside. Gaikachea was up higher. Francisco. Free kick to Spain. This is Gallego. Michel. Michel's chip in towards Gordillo, herring into the centre. But a foul by Gordillo. Just seeing down below us the water bags being thrown on by the Northern Ireland attendants, and indeed from John McClellan, one of the substitutes. And it certainly got warmer in the last 20 minutes or so. Rather cloudy morning. Gordillo with the header. Nicol. Chases on here for Clark. Gallego. Clark was so determined there. He kept going. Down goes Whiteside. Worthington. Always prepared to battle. And in fact, he's got the free kick. Now, can Northern Ireland pose a danger here? O'Neill and MacDonald have both come forward. Stationed at the far post, along with Colin Clark, Zubizarreta, organising the defensive wall of two, which is in front of Nigel Worthington. Striker cheer, already clear. Nicol. MacDonald had stayed onside. The situation read well by Zubizarreta.
Yes, that might represent one of Ireland's best chances of getting a goal back as set plays. Without the sort of influence of Marseille, the Spain are a little bit short at the back. They've only really got Goycochea, who's a good header of the ball.
Gallego to Goycochea. For anyone just coming in, it's not good news, I'm afraid, for Northern Ireland. They're 2-0 down here. The goals from Butragueño and from Salinas. And it's Spain who really dominated the play so far. But Northern Ireland just suggesting, as Ron was saying a moment ago, that certainly from set pieces, they might just pose a threat. Victor. Butragueño. Michel had gone racing away. Northern Ireland with plenty of defenders back. The most positive of them was Alan MacDonald. Clark chasing down that far side. But a throw to Spain. Gallego. This is Francisco, one of their midfield quartet. Michel. Salinas. Well, he overran it.
One of the things Northern Ireland have got to try and do, Peter, is they've got to try and get young Penny higher up the park. The Spanish team are content to hold 4 defenders back, just marking the 2 Irish strikers. And I think if Penny can push on a little bit, that'll open space up and bring Jimmy Nicol into behind him. And a little overlap runs.
Francisco. Now then for Michel. Finding Butragueño. He's so dangerous up front. McCreary interchanging with McElroy. Now then for Penny. See if he can produce a run here. Oh, no.
That's the second time that's happened, once with Penny and once with Jimmy Nicol, where they've appeared to run the ball out of play, winning good possession. There is actually, Peter, a slight slope that way, isn't there, across the pitch? The pitch does tend to go downhill a little bit there.
So then to Spain. Camacho, their captain. Very experienced international. Captain also of Real Madrid, who just won the league championship and the UEFA Cup too, retaining it. Goycochea. Victor to Camacho. Tackled by Nicol. Now here's Clark. show too much of it, though, to Gallego. McCreary. Nicole with the cross towards Whiteside. With Goikachair. Whiteside has gone down. So too has Michel. Butragueño having to ride the tackles, but no foul. Donaghy. Michel still down in the penalty area. Whiteside back on his feet. Worthington straight into Gallego. The Spanish players wanting some attention for Michel. McElroy. Thomas. Well, now the trainers can come on for Michel, who certainly showed his vision wrong with the pass through to Butragueño for the first goal and showed his shooting power in the opening game against Brazil.
Yeah, he's a good player. I mean, there's a great Real Madrid influence, isn't there, in the Spanish side? All their best players seem to come from there. Looking back at the Spanish side now, I think if Ireland can take the game to them a little bit more, it's going to be difficult because they're very much in the ascendancy, Spain, but if they can take the game to them, I don't really feel that the Spanish defence is that good, you know, Peter. I think they can be sort of pressurised a little bit, and if Norman Whiteside and Clarkey can get some support, particularly as I've said from young Penny, playing the sort of role I've seen him play for Brighton in the past, where he gets at people, I think that they can still pull something back out of this game.
Yes, Spain are bound to miss the influence of the towering Maceda, one of the world's outstanding defenders. I'm told he could be out of the game for some while with recurrence of cartilage trouble. The challenge, but an unfair one by McCreary. Free kick then to Spain, so anxious to make up for their nightmare of '82 when they failed on their own soil in front of their own fans. Managing only to reach the second phase. Thomas with the cross. Salinas jumping there. And McDonald. McDonald in again. But now then for Thomas. Salinas in the middle. Gordillo is arriving too at the far post. And they've got to watch the threat of Gordillo, who arrives so late. And very nearly sneaked in again. Given away by Penny. And Gallego elegantly finding Thomas. And as you'd expect, Spain playing with confidence now. Goikachair. Challenged robustly by Whiteside. Goikachair has gone down. The butcher of Bilbao, as he's affectionately known. He felt the full weight of Norman Whiteside's challenge then.
Yes, I think he hit that shot in fright a little bit. He saw Big Norman closing in on him and he wanted to get rid of it anyway. Almost scored with it, as it happens.
If it was me, I'd have been more worried about Goikachair than the other way around. McDonald. McCreary did well. Worthington. Now then for McElroy. This is Whiteside. An altercation off the ball. And a free kick to Northern Ireland.
Actually, Sammy McElroy, he's already been booked once in the previous game and nearly found himself in trouble. Retaliated a little bit there. He was getting kicked off the ball by Victor. That's something they've got to keep the cool, as we saw yesterday in the England game. People, no matter what the provocation is.
This McElroy, one of 3 players booked for the Algeria match. Worthington and Whiteside were the others. And here's Worthington with the free kick now. Comfortably away by Goikachair. McCreary's header. And Francisco back to Zubizarreta, who will be playing his club football for Barcelona next season. Gordillo. It's Camacho. Fairly rare excursion upfield for him. Estadio. Victor. As ever, McCreary was in tigerishly. And the free kick goes Northern Ireland's way. It's a very competitive duo in the heart of the midfield, of course, for Northern Ireland, with McElroy and McCreary. But they need some width too, the likes of Penny and Worthington down the flanks. Nicol. Here's Penny now. Whiteside. And easily contained by Spain. Gallego, more accustomed to a midfield role. Francisco. Off goes Salinas with O'Neill. Goal kick to Northern Ireland, who haven't lost an international since England beat them in Belfast 15 months ago. So they've had a very consistent run. But they have on here a very difficult task indeed. 2 goals down, just over 10 minutes to half-time. Donaghy. McCreary was caught then, but it was a rather casual pass from Donaghy. Worthington. McDonald. It's Clark. Fell fortuitously for Nicol. And here's Nicol again now, trying to turn it across towards Clark. And Camacho showing his composure.
That sort of situation there, Peter, I think every time Steve Penny goes down the wing, Gordillo drops right back with him, and there's acres of room for Jimmy Nicol to step into, and people can change the play and pick out his runs. And I think he could help build up pressure upon the Spanish defence. Just breaking wide on the right, and then, if necessary, tossing things in for Norman and Clarkey.
Michel to Victor, now then for Thomas. Useful interchange. This is Michel. Putugueño. And O'Neill got himself out of trouble. Northern Ireland with just Clark upfield. And Thomas looking for another long throw in towards Salinas. Estadio. Well held by Jennings. Now Penny. As the Irish look to spring from defence to attack. Off goes Clark. Camacho, as ever, was with him and in the way. McElroy. In for Whiteside. Way by O'Neill, finding Nicol. Now then for Penny. Donaghy for Worthington. A rather aimless ball across. No chance there for either Whiteside or Clark. The front two for Northern Ireland. This is Gallego. He's having to curb his natural attacking tendencies. As today he's the sweeper in the Spain side. Francisco for Gordillo. Nicol with the decisive covering tackle. McCreary. Now then for McElroy. Here's Jimmy Nicol. Whiteside for McElroy. He has Donaghy in support here. Clark and Whiteside in the middle. There's Clark jumping well. Up goes Whiteside with Goikachir. Worthington prepared to take on Thomas. And a throw to Northern Ireland. We've had one or two more promising moments as the half has worn on, but they're still trailing by 2 goals to 0. And with now 7 minutes of the first half remaining.
Yes, they've had long periods of possession of Ireland, just not produced in the last third, actually. Some of the balls into the box haven't been as good as they could have been. But there's still something in it for them if they're prepared to believe in themselves. OK, Spain will play on the break. They've got this superb number 9, Butrigueno. I think if they make the progress they look as if they will do now, Spain, I'm sure he'll finish up one of the stars of the competition.
Salinas with McDonald. Another huge kick, which Clark at least managed to get his head to. Nicol, now then for McElroy. Whiteside and Clark in the middle. If Penny can find them, there's Clark. Well, he couldn't provide the finishing touch. But he's a goalkeeper of some prowess with more than 30 goals for Bournemouth last season.
Yes, and there's that little situation I was on about, Peter. They can get in behind the left-hand side of the Spanish defence, and I think if Jimmy Nicol and Penny are prepared to keep working at it and keep pushing in there, they can create good situations. That was actually a superb chance.
And one that Clark will feel perhaps he should have tucked away. He has had such a marvellous season in front of goal for Bournemouth. But this is a vastly different arena here in the World Cup. Butrigueno. A goal kick to Northern Ireland. And 2 of the Spanish players claiming the corner. In fact, it has been given. So, with just over 5 minutes to half-time, Northern Ireland have some more defending to do here. Michel will take the corner. Goikachir has come up. McDonald keeping an eye on him. Away by Clark. Only as far though as Victor. Camacho. This is Gordillo. The flag was up for offside. Certainly would be a real boost for Northern Ireland if they could find a goal now before half-time. Stunned by the first goal from Butrigueno, and then a second from Salinas. Jennings with the kick, landing just outside the area. Clark had been penalised on the challenge. Pat Jennings, as we were saying the other day, has been practicing these long clearances upfield to the extent that Billy Bingham was actually measuring where they landed.
That's right, Peter. I think it's essential that if he's got to knock those long balls into the front players, that the supporters got to come quickly. Because even if they don't win their own, even if the 2 big front lads don't win the header, there's a fair chance they can pick up the little drops from the Spanish defence and keep the pressure on. If they don't win perfect headers or play perfect football, they're the 2 front players. Without support, the thing will just break down.
Goikachir to Thomas. Gallego. Clearly, McElroy couldn't control his pass though, and here's Goikachir. Fearsome defender, but he showed again today that he's a very competent one too. Francisco. Camacho. Challenge was by Jimmy Nicol. less than 3 minutes now to the break. Still Spain dominating here with a 2-goal lead. Francisco. Michel, good one too. Broken up though by O'Neill. Now Penny. Here's Donaghy. Worthington. Penny has drifted over to the Northern Ireland left. Penny trying to chip it in towards Whiteside. Together you're not hearing sound too well just at the moment. Bit of a hum on the line. We'll do our best to rectify that as soon as we can for you. In the meantime, here comes Spain with Gallego. Michel. Now Francisco. Estadio, a lot of room away to his left. Choosing instead the option of Butragueño. And here's Gallego. Michel, who's shown his ability from long range. Victor, won't be too pleased with that shot, but Michel in the first game against Brazil had a shot disallowed when most people felt it had bounced down off the bar and over the line. Victor with the shot that was well wide there. No test for Pat Jennings on that occasion. Played in towards Whiteside. Woods shields the ball so well. Nickel again. Clark was offside. Colin Clark, who made his first appearance only recently for Northern Ireland in the match against France in Paris. He scored his first goal against Morocco. Northern Ireland's final warm-up game before they came to the finals here in Mexico. Francisco. Donald. Now McElroy. Donald has kept going. The pass was a poor one in search of Whiteside or Clark. Normal time is almost up. Referee Horst Brumeyer of Austria. Having on a few seconds, it would seem, for 1 or 2 stoppages that we've had. Dio with the throw to Francisco. And there goes the half-time whistle. A disappointing half for Northern Ireland, certainly in terms of the score, conceding that very early goal to Butragueño. Salinas getting the second. And here in Guadalajara, Northern Ireland trails Spain at half-time by 2 goals.